My aunt posted a meme. Landscapers are failures with tools. My family laughed. I left silently. Weeks later, her yard flooded, her foundation cracked, and she begged me to fix it. I sent one screenshot. Then, her $31,000 loan began. The family group chat notification came through during my lunch break. I was sitting in my truck eating a sandwich and reviewing drainage plans for a client's backyard renovation when my phone lit up with the name Mitchell Family and one new message. I opened it without thinking much of it. My Aunt Linda had posted a meme. It was a picture of a guy holding a shovel and looking confused, with a bold caption that read, "Landscapers are people who failed at everything else but still need tools to feel important." Underneath it, Linda had added laughing emojis and written that it was so true. I stared at my phone and read it again. Linda knew what I did for a living. Everyone in my family knew what I did for a living. I had been running Mitchell Landscaping for 6 years. I had a crew of 4 experienced guys, commercial and residential clients, and a reputation for quality work that actually lasted. I handled grading, drainage, retaining walls, irrigation, soil problems, erosion issues, and foundation protection. But to Linda, I was still just a guy with a shovel. The reactions started rolling in immediately. My mom reacted with laughing emojis. Uncle Rick laughed and called it accurate. Cousin Jennifer wrote that she was dead. My dad reacted like it was a good joke. Linda's post kept collecting reactions, 17 in all, laughing faces and thumbs up. Even my younger sister liked it. Nobody said anything. Nobody defended me. Nobody even wrote, "Hey, that is kind of messed up considering Ryan does this for a living." They just laughed. I sat in my truck for 5 minutes, watching more reactions pile up. Watching my family agree that my profession, my business, my livelihood, and the thing I had built from nothing was a joke. Then I did something I had never done before. I left the group chat. No explanation, no dramatic message, no argument. I just quietly removed myself and went back to work. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed. It was a text from my mom asking why I had left the group chat. I did not respond. Then my phone buzzed again. This time it was from my dad, telling me not to be so sensitive because it was just a joke. Just a joke. I put my phone on silent and went back to the job site. We were installing a retaining wall and drainage system for a property on a hill. It was complex work. It required understanding soil composition, water flow, slope correction, drainage routing, structural pressure, and basic engineering principles. It was not exactly failure with tools. My crew lead Marcus noticed I was quiet. He asked if I was good. I told him it was family stuff. He nodded and did not push. That was one of the reasons I liked my crew. They understood boundaries. We worked until 6. We finished the grading, laid the foundation for the wall, and installed the first drainage pipe. It was good progress. As I loaded tools into the truck, my phone lit up again. 7 missed calls, 12 texts, all from family. My mom told me I was being ridiculous and needed to call her back. My sister asked why I was being dramatic. Cousin Jennifer said it was not even about me. Linda wrote, "Wow, sensitive much?" That last one made me pause. Linda, the person who had posted the meme, was calling me sensitive. I took a screenshot of it and saved it to a folder on my phone, labeled Receipts. I did not know exactly why I did it. It was just instinct. That night, my girlfriend Emma found me on the couch staring at my phone. She asked what was wrong. I showed her the meme, the reactions, and the messages. She read through everything and her jaw tightened. She asked if my aunt had really posted it. I told her yes. She asked if my whole family had really laughed. I told her yes. She asked what I had said back. I told her nothing, that I had just left the chat. Emma sat beside me and told me I had done the right thing. She said they did not deserve a response. I told her my mom thought I was being dramatic. Emma said my mom had laughed at a meme insulting my career, so she did not get to decide what counted as dramatic. She was right, but it still stung. The next few days were quiet. No more texts, no calls. Apparently, my family had decided I was overreacting and moved on. That was fine by me. Work kept me busy. We had 3 projects running at the same time. A commercial property needed a complete landscape renovation. A residential client wanted a full backyard transformation with a pool patio and garden beds. We were also finishing the retaining wall job. It was good work, challenging work, work that required skill, experience, planning, and, yes, tools. 2 weeks after the meme incident, I got a call from a potential client named Patricia. She said she needed drainage work. She lived on Hillside Drive, and every time it rained, water pooled in her yard. Last spring, water had started seeping toward her foundation and she was worried about damage. I told her she was smart to address it before it got worse and asked if I could come take a look. She said yes and scheduled me for 2 o'clock the next day. When I arrived at the address, I saw a nice 2-story house with a well-maintained exterior. But the yard told a different story. It was sloped incorrectly. There were water stains near the foundation and signs of erosion around the low points. A previous owner had clearly ignored basic drainage principles for years. Patricia walked me around the property and pointed out the problem areas. She said it was getting worse every year, that last spring had been bad, and that she was terrified of what the next round of spring rains would bring. I took measurements, photos, and notes on soil composition and grade. I told her I could fix it. I explained that we would regrade the yard, install French drains, add a catch basin system, and route everything away from her foundation. She asked how much it would cost. I did the math quickly. Materials, labor, equipment, permits, and the crew. The number came to $4,800. I told her it would take about 5 days. She winced and said that was more than she had expected. I told her I understood, but foundation damage was at least $15,000 to repair, and often more. I told her this was prevention. She said she needed to think about it. I told her that was fine, but I recommended deciding soon because spring rains would start in about 6 weeks. She said she would get back to me. I left my card and drove to the next job. That evening, Emma asked how my day had gone. I told her it had been good and that I had a potential drainage job, a big one, but the client seemed hesitant about the price. Emma said clients were always hesitant until the damage happened. I told her that was exactly it. March arrived with the first warm days, budding trees greening grass, and the inevitable spring rains. My phone started ringing more often. Drainage emergencies, water in basements, flooded yards. People who had put off maintenance and were now paying the price. We were booked solid and working 10-hour days. My crew was exhausted, but the paychecks were good. One afternoon in the middle of a job, my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. I answered with the business name. The voice on the other end was familiar, strained, and panicked. It asked if I was Ryan Mitchell. I said yes and asked who was calling. It was Linda, my Aunt Linda. I stopped working and stepped away from the noise. I asked what she wanted. She said she needed my help and that it was an emergency. I asked what kind of emergency. Her voice cracked. She said her yard was flooding, that there was water everywhere, that it was reaching her foundation, and that she thought there might already be damage. I stood there with the phone pressed to my ear, remembering the meme, the laughter, and the reactions. I told her slowly that it sounded like she needed a landscaper. She said yes, and that was why she was calling me. She asked if I could come look at it that day. I told her I was booked. She begged me. She said it was serious, that there was water pooling against her house, and that she could see cracks forming. I let the silence stretch long enough for her to feel it. Then I told her I was just a failure with tools, and I asked if she remembered. More silence. Then she said that had been a joke. I told her it had not felt like a joke when 17 family members laughed at it. She started to say she did not mean it. I cut her off and told her she did mean it. She posted it. She laughed. Everyone laughed. She said my name again, softer this time, and begged. She said she was sorry, that she would apologize, that she would do whatever I wanted if I would just help her. I thought about the screenshot saved in my phone, the receipts. Then I told her I could not help her. I told her I was too busy with clients who actually respected what I did. I told her to call someone who succeeded, and I wished her good luck. Then I hung up. I stood there for a minute, with my heart pounding and my hands shaking slightly. Then I opened my phone, scrolled to the screenshot from 2 weeks earlier, the one where Linda had called me sensitive, and sent it to her. No message, just the screenshot. Then I blocked her number and went back to work. Marcus walked over and asked if everything was okay. I told him everything was perfect. That night, Emma asked if Linda had called. I told her she had. Emma asked what Linda wanted. I told her she had a drainage emergency, that her yard was flooding, and that there might be foundation damage. Emma asked what I had told her. I smiled and told her I had told Linda to call someone who succeeded. Emma's eyes widened. Then she started laughing. She asked if I had really done that. I told her I had, and that after I hung up, I sent Linda a screenshot of her own message and blocked her. Emma called it beautiful. Petty, but beautiful. I told her Linda had weeks to apologize and had only called when she needed something. Emma asked what Linda was going to do. I told her it was not my problem and that since Linda was a successful realtor, I was sure she would figure it out. We did not talk about it again that night, but I slept better than I had in weeks. Sometimes the best revenge is not a dramatic confrontation. Sometimes it is simply letting people experience the consequences of their own choices. Linda had chosen to mock the one person in the family who could have helped her. Now, she would live with that choice. The next morning, I woke up to chaos on my phone. Not from Linda, because I had blocked her, but from everyone else. My mom said Linda had told her I refused to help and asked what was wrong with me. My dad said my aunt was in crisis and I was holding a grudge. My sister said I was seriously doing all of this over a meme from weeks ago. Uncle Rick said family helped family and told me not to be petty. Cousin Jennifer said Linda was literally crying and that I should just help her. I read through all of it while drinking coffee. Emma watched me from across the kitchen table. She asked if they were mad that I had said no. I told her, apparently, I was supposed to forget the disrespect and help because family. Emma asked if I was going to respond. I thought about it. I typed out 3 different responses and deleted all of them. Then I told her, no. They had not defended me when it mattered, and I did not owe them explanations now. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and went to work. We had a commercial job that day. A shopping center needed irrigation repair and landscape maintenance. It was a good contract and steady money. During lunch, Marcus pulled me aside and told me I seemed lighter. I asked what he meant. He said it was like I had dropped something heavy. I told him maybe I had. He nodded and told me good for me. That afternoon, between jobs, I got a call from my cousin Jennifer. She was not blocked. She had not really done anything except react to the meme. I answered and asked what she wanted. She told me to come on that Linda was freaking out. I said it was not my problem. Jennifer said Linda's foundation was cracking, that water was everywhere, and that she needed professional help. I told Jennifer that Linda should hire a professional, someone who succeeded, not a failure, with tools. Jennifer went silent for a moment, then said the meme was not about me. I asked who it was about, since I was the only landscaper in the family. She said it was just funny and that I was being too sensitive. I told her I was being appropriately sensitive to public disrespect and that there was a difference. Jennifer asked if I was really going to let Linda's house get damaged. I told her I had given Linda my professional opinion once, and she had ignored it, so now she was dealing with the consequences. Jennifer asked what I was talking about. I paused and asked for Linda's address. Jennifer told me. Then I started laughing. Jennifer asked what was funny. I told her I had consulted for a house on that street 2 weeks before the meme. The woman needed drainage work. I quoted her $4,800. She said it was too expensive. Jennifer asked if that had been Linda. I told her I had not known at the time. The client had used the name Patricia. I said it must have been Linda's middle name or the name she used for consultations. But yes, it had been Linda's house. Jennifer asked if I had already warned her. I told her I had told Linda she needed drainage work before the spring rains, and that foundation damage would cost at least $15,000 if she waited. I told Jennifer that Linda had said she would think about it. Jennifer went quiet and said Linda had never mentioned that. I told her, of course Linda had not mentioned it, because then she would have to admit I was right and that she had been cheap. Jennifer started to ask if, since I already knew what was wrong, I could just help. I said no. Linda had her chance. She chose to ignore professional advice because it came from someone she saw as a failure with tools. Now, she could live with that choice. Then, I hung up. 3 days passed. The family text slowed down and then stopped. Apparently, they had given up on guilting me into helping. Then Emma showed me something on her phone and told me I needed to see it. It was a Facebook post from Linda in a local community group. She had written that she urgently needed an affordable landscaper or drainage expert because of a water damage emergency and foundation issues. She said her budget was tight, that she had already gotten a quote for $5,000, which she called highway robbery, and that she was looking for someone reasonable who could do it for $500 to $1,000. She ended the post by saying she was desperate. I read it twice. $5,000 was highway robbery, even though my quote had been $4,800, and now she wanted the whole job done for $500. Emma said Linda was going to get scammed. I told her probably. Emma said I could warn her. I told her I already had 2 weeks before the meme, and Linda had called it too expensive. Emma shook her head and said it was going to end badly. I told her it was not my circus and not my monkeys. That weekend, I was at a job site when Marcus got a call. He talked for a few minutes, then hung up looking confused. He said, that was weird. I asked what happened. He said a guy he knew from trade school, someone who worked cheap cash jobs, had asked if Marcus knew anything about a drainage emergency on Hillside Drive. My head snapped up. I repeated, Hillside Drive. Marcus said yes. The guy had told him some woman hired him off Craigslist and was offering $200 to fix her drainage problem. I asked if he had said $200. Marcus said that was exactly what he had said, and that he had told the guy drainage work cost thousands. The guy said the woman did not have thousands and wanted it done cheap and fast. I asked Marcus what he told him. Marcus shrugged and said he told the guy to walk away, but the guy needed money and said he would do what he could. I should have felt concern, guilt, or worry, but I just felt vindicated. Linda had gone from ignoring my $4,800 professional quote to hiring a Craigslist guy for $200. Marcus said it was going to be a disaster. I told him, yes, it was. Monday morning, I got a call from my mom. It was an actual phone call, not a text. I answered and asked what she wanted. She said Linda had hired someone to fix her drainage. I told her, good for Linda. My mom said he was only charging $200. I told her, you get what you pay for. My mom told me not to be like that and said Linda was trying to fix it. I told her Linda was trying to fix it cheaply and that there was a difference. Good drainage work cost money. You could not bargain basement foundation protection. My mom said the man was working on it now, so maybe I had been wrong about the price. I actually laughed. I told her maybe I had been wrong. Maybe 6 years of experience and a crew of professionals meant nothing. Maybe the Craigslist guy for $200 knew better. My mom said that was not what she meant. I told her that was exactly what she meant. Linda found someone cheaper, so obviously I had been overcharging. She went quiet. I told her to tell Linda good luck with her $200 solution because she was going to need it. Then I hung up. 2 days later, the rain came back. It was a heavy spring storm, 3 inches in 6 hours. My phone was flooded with emergency calls. Basements were backing up, yards were flooding. It was standard spring chaos. We worked non-stop, 14-hour days, pumping water, installing emergency drainage, and creating temporary solutions until we could do permanent fixes. It was exhausting work, but profitable. Thursday afternoon, between jobs, my phone rang from a blocked number. I sent it to voicemail. It called again immediately, then again. Finally, I answered and asked what they wanted. I heard heavy breathing first. Then Linda's voice came through, shaking and crying. She said he made it worse. I asked who. She said the guy from Craigslist. He had dug trenches and said they would redirect the water, but they had not. Now the water was in her basement. Everything was flooding. Her foundation had cracks everywhere. She begged me to help her. I sat in my truck with the engine running while rain drummed on the roof. I told her she had hired someone for $200 to do a $5,000 job. She said she could not afford $5,000. I asked if she could afford foundation damage. She said she had not thought. I told her she had not thought a professional knew what he was talking about. She had thought she could cheap out, and now she was paying for it. She begged again. She said she would pay whatever I wanted if I would just fix it. I told her I could not. She asked, why not? I told her because it was too late. Her foundation was compromised. She needed structural engineers now. She needed foundation repair specialists and waterproofing experts. I told her it was not landscaping anymore. It was restoration. She asked how much that would cost. I did rough math in my head. Foundation repair, basement waterproofing, fixing whatever damage the Craigslist guy had caused, and a new drainage system. I told her $25,000 minimum, probably more, depending on how bad the damage was. She started sobbing. She said she did not have that kind of money. I told her she would need a loan. She begged again and apologized for the meme. She apologized for not listening. She kept saying, please. I told her that even if I wanted to help, I could not fix structural damage because that was beyond my scope. She needed specialists. She said I could have prevented it. I told her I had tried to. I told her that 2 weeks before she posted that meme, I had quoted her $4,800 for proper drainage. She had said it was too expensive. Silence. Then she realized. She said that had been me. I told her yes. She said Patricia was her middle name and that she used it for consultations to keep business separate from personal. She said she had not known. I told her she had not asked. She had just seen a number she did not like and ignored professional advice. Then she had publicly mocked the profession. Then when she needed help, she had hired the cheapest person she could find. And now she was here. She asked what she was supposed to do. I told her to call a foundation specialist, get multiple quotes, take out a loan, and learn that skilled labor had value. She said my name once more. I hung up, blocked the new number, and put my phone away. Marcus was watching from the passenger seat. He asked if that had been her. I told him yes. He asked what happened. I said the Craigslist guy had made it worse, that there was water in her basement and her foundation was cracked. Marcus said Jesus. I told him she had thought she could fix a $5,000 problem for $200. Marcus shook his head and said some people had to learn the hard way. That night, Emma asked how I was feeling. I told her I was fine. She asked if I really was. I told her yes. I had warned Linda professionally. I had given her a fair quote. She had ignored it, mocked my profession, hired someone unqualified, and now there were consequences. Pure and simple. Emma said my family was going to blame me. I told her they already did, but that did not change the facts. She hugged me and said she was proud of me for standing my ground. I told her it was not even about standing ground anymore. It was just letting reality happen. She said not everyone could watch family struggle and not cave. I told her Linda was not struggling because I would not help. Linda was struggling because she made bad choices. There was a difference. The next week was quiet. No calls, no texts. The family had gone silent. Then 2 weeks later, I got a message from cousin Jennifer. Linda had to take out a $31,000 loan. The foundation repair was worse than the first estimates. The Craigslist guy's work had caused additional damage to her basement. The payments would be $450 a month for 7 years. Jennifer said Linda was devastated. I read the message 3 times. $31,000 for a problem I could have prevented for $4,800. I did the math. With interest, Linda would be paying $37,800 total, almost 8 times what my quote would have been. I took a screenshot of Jennifer's message and added it to my receipts folder. Then I responded that it was unfortunate and that hopefully Linda had learned professional services had value. Jennifer asked if I was really not going to help her. I replied that I had offered help, Linda had declined it, and she had made her choices. These were her consequences. Jennifer told me I was cold. I told her I was professional and that there was a difference. She did not respond. That evening, Emma and I celebrated. Not Linda's misfortune, but the fact that I had stood firm. Emma shook her head over the number. $31,000, all because Linda would not spend $5,000. I corrected her and said my quote had been $4,800 lower than what Linda had told people. Emma said that made it even worse and that pride was expensive. I told her disrespect was expensive too. We clinked glasses because somewhere across town, Linda was making loan payments and I was running a successful business built by a failure with tools. A month passed. Work stayed busy. Spring turned into early summer. Lawns needed maintenance. Gardens needed planting. Business was good. I did not think about Linda much. Sometimes I remembered the meme or the $31,000 loan, but mostly I just worked. Then I got a call from Uncle Rick, Linda's husband. I almost did not answer, but curiosity won. I picked up and asked what he wanted. Rick said he needed to talk to me about Linda. I told him he really did not. He asked me to just listen. I waited. He said the loan payments were killing them. $450 every month for 7 years. They had to cancel their vacation. Linda was working extra hours. They were cutting everything they could. I asked what he wanted me to say. I had warned her. She had ignored me. She had hired someone unqualified. Actions had consequences. Rick said I could have helped her. I told him I had tried to. She had called it highway robbery and then posted a meme mocking my profession. Rick said the meme had been weeks before. I told him it had been 2 weeks after I gave her a professional consultation. I quoted her $4,800 to prevent exactly what happened, and she thought she knew better. Rick went quiet. Then he said Linda had not known that was me. I told him she had not asked. She had just seen a price she did not like and ignored it. He asked if I was punishing her. I told him I was not punishing anyone. I was letting natural consequences happen. She chose cheap over quality and disrespect over respect. This was the result. Rick said we were family. I told him family did not publicly mock each other's careers. Family did not laugh when someone's profession was called a failure. Family did not ignore professional advice, then demand free help when it went wrong. Rick said the whole family thought I was being cruel. I reminded him that the whole family had laughed at that meme. 17 people. Not one had defended me. So he would have to forgive me if I did not care what they thought now. He said I had changed. I told him I had not changed. I had just stopped accepting disrespect. There was a difference. Rick hung up without saying goodbye. That evening, I told Emma about the call. She said they were really struggling with the payments. I told her good. She looked at me and asked if I really felt that way. I said I did. Not because I wanted them to suffer, but because this was the only way they would learn that skilled labor had value that professional advice mattered, and that you could not mock someone's career and then expect them to save you. Emma asked what would happen if Linda really apologized. I told her that if Linda really apologized, she would still have a $31,000 loan. Apologies did not undo consequences. They just acknowledged fault. Emma nodded slowly. She said I was right, but that it was still a lot of money. I told her it was, and every month when Linda made that payment, she would remember that cheap solutions cost more in the long run. 2 weeks later, something unexpected happened. A woman called asking for a consultation on a property on Hillside Drive, 2 houses down from Linda. She said she had heard what happened to her neighbor, the foundation damage from bad drainage work, and she wanted to make sure the same thing did not happen to her. I scheduled the consultation. When I arrived, I recognized the area immediately. Linda's house was visible down the street, and construction equipment was still in the driveway. Foundation repair was ongoing. The neighbor Susan walked me around her property. She said she had been watching what was happening to Linda's house and that it was terrifying. Linda had told her she hired someone cheap and that it went wrong. I said that was one way to put it. Susan said Linda had admitted she should have hired a professional from the start. Linda had mentioned getting a quote from someone named Patricia for about $5,000 and thinking it was too expensive. I did not correct Susan about the name or the amount. Susan said Linda was now paying way more to fix the damage, and she did not want that to happen to her. She said money spent on prevention was better than money spent on disaster. I told her that was smart thinking. I evaluated her property. It had similar issues to Linda's. The slope moved toward the foundation. The drainage was poor. There was evidence of spring damage. I told Susan she needed grading work, French drains, and a catch basin system. The same solution I would have recommended for her neighbor. She asked how much. I told her $5,200 because her lot was slightly bigger. Susan did not hesitate. She asked when I could start. I told her 2 weeks. She said perfect and that she would have the deposit ready. As I was leaving, Linda came out of her house. She saw my truck. She saw me talking to Susan. Her face went pale. She started walking over. I got into my truck and drove away. That night, my phone blew up. Linda had apparently tried calling me, but she was still blocked, so she went through the family. My mom said Linda had told her I was working on Susan's house, her neighbor's house, and asked if I was deliberately trying to hurt her. My sister said doing her neighbor's yard while Linda suffered was messed up. Cousin Jennifer asked if I was really going to work 2 houses down and not help Linda. I had been added back to a group text without permission. This time, I responded. I wrote that Susan had hired me because she saw what happened when someone ignored professional advice and hired cheap labor. Susan was preventing a problem. Linda had created one. I said I was running a business, not a charity, and that I was leaving the chat again. Then I left and blocked 3 more numbers. Emma read the messages over my shoulder and said they really did not get it. I told her they got it, they just did not like that I was not the family doormat anymore. We finished Susan's property over the next 3 weeks. Professional grade work, proper drainage, everything engineered to last. Susan was thrilled. She told me it was incredible and that she could already see the difference. I told her she would not have problems anymore, even in heavy rain. Then Susan told me Linda had asked how much she had paid. I paused and asked what Susan had told her. Susan said she told Linda the truth, $5,200. Linda almost cried and said she could have had the same thing for less if she had just listened. I told Susan Linda could have had it for $4,800. Susan asked if that was really true because Linda had told people $5,000. I told her Linda had rounded up to make it sound more unreasonable. Susan shook her head and said pride was expensive. I told her, very. As we packed up equipment, Linda came outside and stood in her driveway watching us work. I ignored her. She walked over and stood at the property line. She said my name. I kept loading tools. She said it again and asked me to please talk to her. I looked at her for the first time in months. She looked tired, older, and stressed. I asked what she wanted. She said she had been wrong about everything. The meme, the quote, hiring that guy, all of it. She said she had been wrong. I said, okay. She asked if that was it. Just, okay. I asked what else she wanted me to say. Did she want me to tell her I forgave her? Did she want me to say we could move past it? I told her I did not forgive her, and we were not moving anywhere. I told her she had disrespected my profession publicly, ignored my professional advice privately, and then expected me to save her when it went wrong. That was not someone I wanted in my life. She said we were family. I told her she kept saying that like it meant something. Family was not automatic respect. It had to be earned. She had not earned it. She asked if I was just going to work on her neighbor's house and rub her face in it. I told her I was working on her neighbor's house because Susan hired me, respected my expertise, and understood that quality work cost money. This was not about Linda. It was about running a professional business. Linda said every time she saw my truck, she was reminded of her mistake. I told her, good, maybe the reminder would be worth $450 a month. Her eyes filled with tears. She said she was struggling. I told her she was learning and that there was a difference. Then I finished loading the truck and drove away without looking back. That weekend, Emma and I went to dinner with Marcus and his wife to celebrate Susan's job and several other successful projects. Marcus said business was good, the best quarter we had ever had. I told him Susan was already referring us to 3 other neighbors. Because of Linda, partially. Her disaster had become our marketing. People saw what happened when they cheaped out, and it made them value quality. Emma laughed and said Linda's $31,000 mistake was generating business for me. I told her unintentionally, but yes. Marcus raised his glass to expensive lessons and professional standards. We drank to that. The next month brought something unexpected, a call from my dad. He told me we needed to talk. I asked if we did. He said he and my mother had been discussing everything, the meme, Linda's situation, the way the family had reacted. Then he said they were wrong. They should have defended me. They should have called out Linda immediately. They should have supported me. I waited. He said he was sorry, really sorry. He said I deserved better from them. I thanked him for saying that. He asked if we could get dinner, just the 3 of us, and try to repair things. I said no. He asked why. I told him I did not trust it. The timing was convenient. Linda was struggling. The family saw that I had been right. Now they wanted to repair things. I asked where that energy had been 3 months earlier. He said they had not understood. I told him they had understood perfectly. They just had not thought I would actually walk away. Now they realized I was serious and they were trying to smooth things over. I told him I was not interested. He asked if that meant we just did not have a relationship anymore. I told him we had exactly the relationship he had chosen, one where my professional opinion did not matter, one where laughing at my career was acceptable, one where I was expected to absorb disrespect and still show up. I told him I did not want that relationship. He asked what I wanted. I told him I wanted nothing from him. I had a successful business, a supportive partner, and respect from my clients and crew. I did not need family validation anymore. My dad was quiet for a long time. Then he said he really was sorry. I told him I believed him, but sorry did not undo 3 months of silence. It did not undo the laughter. It did not undo being told I was cruel for having boundaries. He asked if that was it. I told him that was it. He hung up. Emma found me on the couch afterward and asked if it had been my dad. I said yes. She asked how I felt. I told her tired, but right. She asked if they were ever going to understand. I told her probably not. They thought apologies erased consequences. They thought family was a magic word that erased disrespect. But it did not work that way. Emma asked if I was okay with that. I thought about it, really thought about it. Then I told her yes. I was okay with it because I would rather have real respect from strangers than fake respect from family. She kissed my forehead and said that was a good answer. That night, I looked through my receipts folder. Screenshots, messages, documentation of everything. I thought about deleting it and moving on completely, but I kept it. Not because I needed to prove anything to anyone, but because sometimes you need reminders that you made the right choice, even when everyone tells you that you are wrong. 6 months passed after the meme. 6 months after Linda's disaster. 6 months of building a life where respect was not negotiable. Mitchell Landscaping was thriving. Susan's referrals had brought in 5 new clients, all on Hillside Drive. They were all neighbors who had watched Linda's house become a cautionary tale. We had basically become the go-to drainage experts in that neighborhood, not because of aggressive marketing, but because people saw the difference between professional work and cheap shortcuts. Emma called it the Linda effect. I called it karma with compound interest. One Tuesday afternoon, I was finishing a consultation when my phone rang from a number I did not recognize. It was a local area code. I answered with the business name. A nervous young voice asked if I was Ryan Mitchell. I said yes and asked who was calling. He said his name was Danny and that he was the guy who had worked on Linda Morrison's property, the drainage thing. I stopped walking and said, okay. Danny said he knew I probably hated him, but he wanted to apologize. I asked for what? He said for taking that job, for not knowing what he was doing, and for making everything worse. I leaned against my truck and asked why he was apologizing to me, since I was not the one with a $31,000 loan. He said he knew that, but after everything blew up, he had done research. He found out I had given Linda a real quote, that she had ignored professional advice, and that she had publicly mocked landscapers. He said he realized he had been part of the problem. He had taken a job he was not qualified for, charged $200 for something that needed thousands, and made it worse because he did not know better. I asked why he had taken it. He said he needed money. He thought drainage was just digging trenches. He did not understand grading soil composition or foundation protection. He said he had been an idiot. I told him, yes, he had. Then I added that at least he was owning it, which was more than Linda had done for 3 months. Danny said Linda mentioned me a lot. I asked if she did. He said yes, that she said I had been right, that she should have listened, and that she had been stupid and proud, and that it had cost her everything. I told him everything was dramatic. It had cost her $31,000 and some pride. Danny said her marriage was struggling because of the money stress. He said she and Rick fought constantly, and that he had heard them the previous week when he went back to check on things. I asked if he had gone back. He said he felt guilty and wanted to see if there was anything he could do, but there was not. The damage was too far gone. I should have felt satisfaction. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired. I asked Danny why he was really calling. He said he wanted to learn how to do things right. He had been watching my crew work around the neighborhood. He said we were professionals, that everything was precise engineered and built to last. Then he asked if I would ever consider taking on an apprentice, someone who wanted to learn the right way. I almost laughed. I asked if he wanted me to train him after what happened. He said he knew it was crazy, but he was serious. He wanted to actually understand the work and not just fake it for cash. I asked what made him think I would say yes. He said nothing, honestly, but he had to ask, because watching real professionals work had made him realize how much he did not know. I thought about it. I thought about Marcus, who had started as an apprentice 6 years earlier, learned every part of the business, and become my crew lead. I told Danny to show up at my office Monday morning at 6. If he was late, he should not bother coming back. I told him he would start at minimum wage. He would do grunt work for months, digging, hauling, the worst jobs. He would learn the theory and the practice, and if he complained once, he was done. He said he would not complain. I told him we would see, and repeated, 6 o'clock Monday morning. He thanked me, really thanked me. When I told Emma, she thought I was crazy. She said I was hiring the guy who had destroyed Linda's foundation. I told her I was giving him a chance to learn and that there was a difference. She asked why. I told her because he had owned his mistake, called to apologize, and wanted to do better. That was more accountability than my entire family had shown. Emma shook her head smiling and told me I was a better person than she was. I told her maybe, or maybe I just saw an opportunity. Trained crew members were valuable, and someone who had seen the consequences of bad work would be motivated to do it right. Monday morning, Danny showed up at 5:47 a.m. I handed him off to Marcus and told Marcus to teach him everything. If Danny did not work out, Marcus should let me know. 3 months passed. Danny worked hard. He asked questions, took notes, and never complained. One afternoon, Marcus pulled me aside and said the kid was good, really good. He paid attention, remembered details, and wanted to understand the why behind everything. Marcus thought he would stick. I said Danny was not looking for easy money anymore. He was looking for mastery. Marcus said that was good. That evening, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Linda. She said she had heard I hired Danny and thanked me for giving him a chance. She said she knew I did not have to do that. I stared at the message. I did not respond. I deleted it. Some bridges stay burned. 2 weeks later, I was at a supply store when I literally ran into Linda. Our shopping carts collided in the irrigation aisle. She started to apologize, then realized it was me. I said her name. Awkward silence settled between us while other customers moved around us. She asked how I was. I told her busy. I asked if she was managing the loan payments. She said they were managing. I said good. She said she saw my trucks around the neighborhood all the time. Then she said business was good because of her. It was not a question, it was a statement. I told her partially. Her situation had made people aware of the importance of quality work. She nodded and looked down. She said she was glad something good came from her stupidity. I should have walked away. I should have ended the conversation, but something made me stay. I asked her why she had posted that meme. She looked up surprised. I repeated the question. The meme about landscapers being failures. Why had she posted it? She said she did not know that it was supposed to be funny. I asked why it had been funny to her. She struggled. Then she admitted she had always looked down on manual labor. She had thought real success meant corporate jobs, office work, and careers like hers. I said now she knew the guy in the office chair could not save her when her foundation was cracking. The guy with the shovel could, if she respected him. She repeated the words, if you respect him. We stood there with our shopping carts between us, 6 months of consequences hanging in the air. Then Linda quietly said that for what it was worth, she was sorry, really, truly sorry. Not because of the money, but because she had hurt me and disrespected something I had built, something I was proud of. I said, okay, just okay. I asked what she wanted me to say. Did she want me to say we were good? Did she want me to say I forgave her? I told her I did not. Maybe I would someday, but not that day. She said that was fair. I told her I appreciated her saying it without expecting anything in return. She nodded and said she hoped that someday we could have a normal conversation. I told her maybe when 7 years passed and her loan was paid off, she could check back then. She actually laughed. It was a sad laugh, but real. She said that was fair. I moved my cart around hers and started to walk away. Then she said my name again. I turned back. She told me I had been right about everything and she had been wrong. She just wanted me to hear that. I told her I already knew, but thanks. Then I walked away, finished my shopping, and drove back to the office. Emma called during my drive and asked how my day was. I told her it was weird because I had run into Linda at the supply store. Emma asked how it went. I told her it was civil and that Linda had apologized. Actually apologized without expecting forgiveness. Emma called that character growth. I told her it was expensive character growth. That night, I looked at my receipts folder one last time. The screenshots, the messages, the documentation. Then, I deleted it. Not because I forgave everyone, not because the hurt disappeared, but because I did not need proof anymore. My successful business was proof. My professional reputation was proof. My self-respect was proof. Emma found me on the couch and asked if I was okay. I told her yes. I had just deleted something I did not need anymore. She asked if I meant the screenshots. I told her all of them. She sat next to me and asked, why now? I told her because carrying them around meant I was still waiting for something. Validation, acknowledgement, justice. But I did not need to wait anymore. I had everything I needed. Emma said that was growth. I told her it was 7 months of boundaries and consequences. A year after the meme, Mitchell Landscaping had doubled in size. We had 8 crew members, 2 trucks, commercial contracts, a residential waiting list, and Danny had become one of our best workers. He was precise, knowledgeable, and respectful of the craft. One afternoon, Danny asked me why I had really given him a chance. I told him it was because he had owned his mistake and wanted to do better. He asked how I could do that after what he had done to Linda's house. I told him he had not known better. Linda had. She had professional advice and ignored it. He had been a kid trying to make money. She had been an adult making a conscious choice to devalue expertise. Danny nodded and said he thought about that job a lot, about what he should have done differently. I told him, good, use it. Let it make you better. He asked if I had talked to Linda since. I told him once at a supply store. She had apologized. He asked if I forgave her. I told him not yet, maybe someday. But that was not the point. He asked what the point was. I told him the point was that respect was not optional in business or in life. People who learned that the hard way paid expensive tuition. Danny smiled and said Linda had paid $31,000 in tuition plus interest. I told him not to forget the interest. We both laughed because somewhere across town, Linda was making her monthly payment, month 12 of 84. And I was running a business built on something simple, knowing your worth and refusing to accept less. That is not cruelty. That is professionalism. And in the end, professionalism is the best revenge.